Hey everyone, this is the Wireless Woodworker episode number 1. Today we're going to be talking about workbenches, specifically this one. I'm Tim, welcome to the shop. So I've been posting a little while now on the blog about the construction details for this bench. So if you follow that at all, it's no surprise that it's pretty much done. It's been done for a little while now, but I just wanted to make a little video to sort of introduce everything, and if you're interested in more details, feel free to check out the blog posts and the articles and things. So first off, the bench design is by a person named David Barron over in the UK. He published his articles in Furniture and Cabinet Making magazine, probably summer 2015-ish, and I saw the design and just loved it. It was pretty much exactly what I was looking for. I changed the little details a little bit. He had a tool well in the back. I got rid of that. A couple other little things, but nothing major. So let's take a look at some of the designs. He calls it the New Scandinavian, or Scandinavian Made Easy, something like that. But basically, it's a traditional workbench design. The Scandinavian bench has a traditional shoulder vise and everything, so it's similar to that. So real quick, some design notes. My bench, it's relatively small. I made it to fit sort of over in that area of the shop, and it's a small area, so that was pretty much as big as I needed it to be. The main length of it is about 5 feet long. It's about 20 inches deep, and that works really well for me. It's about 3.5 inches thick, and that seems to be fine. I think if there was any other length of stretch in between the legs, it might be, maybe a little bit too thin, but this is fine. Let's see, the legs stretchers, they're all 3.5 inches square. There's a shelf on the bottom, just, standard tongue and groove little shelf. Some other construction notes. The legs and stretchers, there's mortise and tenon construction all around. The bottom joints between the stretchers and the legs are mitered tenons. They actually meet in the center at a 45-degree miter. They're all drawboard in. Glue on the bottom. The legs are also mortise and tenon drawboard on the top, but there's no glue. So if I ever want to, for some reason, take the top off, I can just drill out the plugs, and it's sort of able to be moved around. I don't plan on moving, but it would be able to be moved around like that. Everything pretty much, except a couple little pieces here and there, is 8/4 ash. The top's all laminated together. The legs and stretchers are laminated together as well. So everything's 8/4. Let's see. Quick tool rack on the back. David Barron's design had a tool well. I like the rack. That's just personal preference. I threw this little light on here, which is really nice for a small bench. You can kind of pull it right over where you're working, which is pretty handy, especially in a dark shop like mine. Anything else? Not really. All right, so the big design element of the bench are the vices. The tail vise is relatively straightforward. It's a Veritas inset vise. I've never really had a tail vise before, so I didn't really know what to expect with it, but it works fine. I do a lot of fence plane work, so I pulled it right up to the edge of the bench. So the front row of dog holes are only about 1.5 inches from the front of the bench, which is really nice for plow planes or rabbit planes, anything with a fence that you can ride along the front of the bench. So the most unique design is probably this shoulder vise. So I really like the design of the shoulder vise. There's no screw clearance issues. You have this built-in planing stop, which is really, really nice. you know, it's a good Vise design, but traditionally with it being so large, you had this kind of cross-grain construction going on, and there was, you know, end caps and everything, and it just wasn't easy to put together. With this one, it's actually shrunken. So the opening capacity is only about 4 inches. That works fine for probably 90% of the work that I do. For anything bigger, I'll use the big leg vise on the other bench. So, you know, it's not a problem for me, but if it's your only bench, you might run into some problems. But it opens, yeah, it's about 4 inches. But because it's so small, it can be laminated right into the top. So there's no cross-grain construction here. It's just completely laminated right in. It also doesn't stick out that much, so there's no need for a 5th leg. I just added some support to this front left leg here, and that seems to be fine. With this shrunken size, so you don't need any of that cross-grain construction, but you still need that threaded rod. So there's a 1/2 inch threaded rod that goes the entire width of the bench, front to back. It's bolted on. Apparently there are no wood movement issues with this rod. I'm guessing in the winter I might have to tighten it, but I don't know. I'm not totally convinced that there won't be any issues, but at the moment I haven't had any problems. It's been constructed for about 6 months now, so I will keep you updated. So if there are problems, I'll update you. I would have loved a nice wooden screw on the front, but the budget just didn't allow for it. So this little metal shoulder vise screw is cheap, it's easy, and it works just fine. Because it only opens 4 inches, there's not really a big deal going from fully open to fully closed with these turns per inch. I'd love to shorten this screw a little bit, but you know, it works out all right for me. So that's the major kind of design notes. Let's see. So pros, it's small enough to move around. I can pull it out. If it's a nice day, I'll pull it out in the driveway, work out there. But it doesn't move around much when I'm planing. So small enough, but it's also beefy enough to stay in one spot, which is nice. Another pro is the construction. So it's super easy to make. There's nothing real complicated about it. It's essentially Roubeau-esque bench. I mean, you have this laminated heavy top. You get big beefy legs, stretchers, and things. So everything is mortise and tenon construction, and you know, it's easy to make. Nothing complicated. Even the shoulder vise, you know, laminated right in. Drill a few holes, and you're done. Like I said, the shoulder vise is great. Having no screw underneath is great. I mean, long boards you can clamp in there without a problem. But the best thing that I think is the built-in planing stop. So you can clamp something here and just use this edge over here as a planing stop, and I mean it's perfect. You can clamp really big panels. You can put a quick clamp across the width of the bench, clamp it to the front, or you can use the dog holes on the other leg if you need to for a really big panel. But the vise itself doesn't need a whole lot of strength to hold it up because of that stop in there, so it doesn't actually have to stop it from moving. It just has to stop it from falling forward, which is great. Like I said, if it's your only vise, you might run into some opening capacity issues, but I haven't really. I don't do anything a lot more thick than 4 inches, so this is fine. What else? So the other pros, I mean, it's a good size for me. Fits really well for the shop. Let's see, other negatives possibly. I mean, it is on the smaller side, so doing larger work, you may not be able to fit it on the top. So the top is 5 inches wide, or 5 feet wide, but this section over here doesn't really get used too much because of the shoulder vise, so it's hard to work in this section. So you're really only looking at about 4 feet of usable workspace. That may not be enough, but it's fine for me. Let's see, the light's really nice. I like the tool rack in the back. You know, having everything everything up close is really good. The shelf underneath, I'm sure this is clean as it's ever going to be, but it works really well. What else? I think that's about it. If you're looking for construction notes, how I built it, what I used, feel free to go over and visit the blog, thewirelesswoodworker.com, and there's 5 or 6 posts about the bench. Follow me on Twitter at @thewirelessww. Instagram, the Wireless Woodworker, and yeah, that's about it. Subscribe to the channel, and hopefully you enjoyed the first episode. Hopefully subsequent episodes get a little bit better as I get a little more comfortable with the setup and everything. But yeah, so thanks for watching.